Hey guys. Okay, so about a week ago, I caught up with a designer and we're chatting about a job that has a large amount of demolition work proposed. During the course of the conversation, he turned to me and said, what can we do to make these plans more planner friendly? Oh, I love it when I get questions like this because let's be real, you do not need to make your plans town planner friendly. However, I would suggest that if you do, it will actually help to speed up the assessment process for council. It reduces the amount of unnecessary questions, let's just say, that get asked during the assessment process. So no, you don't need to. However, I would suggest that it is in your interest to try and make them as town planner friendly as possible. So I thought, hey, that's a really great question. Why don't I share the answer in this week's video? So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to give you my number one tip for how to make demolition plans more planner friendly. Okay, so my number one tip is quite simply to use color coding. Why? Well, when you see red, it invokes ideas, notions, connotations of danger, of fear. It's a really, really scary and overwhelming color. However, if you use multiple colors, you get kind of that rainbow effect. And it invokes ideas of happiness and unicorns and all that fun, loving type of stuff. Yeah. No, jokes aside, whilst I do believe that there is some benefit to the whole subconscious messaging stuff, the reality is it helps to identify at a glance what is actually accessible. Because let's look at this. Go back to the first example I had here. If you look at that, if you're a council, you're going to go, whoa, there is so much going on here, like this is a bit overwhelming. I don't know if we can let that much change happen. However, if you jump across to the alternative image, you can see here they've used yellow for stairs. Demolition of stairs is exempt. They've used blue for post-1946 additions and all that sort of stuff. Suddenly you realize out of all of that red, the only thing that's accessible is that teeny tiny little bit of cladding that's being removed. Okay, if you put yourself in council's shoes and you look at that, you go, oh, is that it? Oh, well, I guess we need to assess and approve it, right? Totally changes the conversation. Now, I'll give you a couple of other examples here. This one here, again, you imagine if this was all highlighted in red, you would again go, whoa, too much demolition work occurring here. However, in reality, we're just removing some post-46 sheeting, some post-1946 additions, all of that sort of stuff. The only accessible component is that teeny tiny little bit of balustrading that's being removed at the front. Changes the conversation completely. Same thing again here. A lot of demolition work, but only the balustrading is accessible when you actually break it down. So yes, my tip is to not use red to show the demolition, but instead use color coding to show the different exemptions. Keeping in mind, like I said, stairs are exempt, post-1946 work's exempt, internal work is exempt. If it's not a corner allotment, let me get this correct, if it's not a corner allotment and not a pre-1911 dwelling, then demolition work beyond the highest and rearmost ridge is exempt as well. So you can significantly reduce the scope of accessible components here and therefore the amount of red danger stuff that's jumping out at you. So there you go. Now you have my number one tip when it comes to demolition plans. Like I said at the beginning, you don't need to take my advice on board. You don't need to make your plans planner friendly. However, as I suggested, it will help to speed up the assessment process and reduce the number of unnecessary questions, which, let's be real, is in your interest and the client's interest. So you might want to keep it in mind. Anyway, that covers everything that I want to talk about today. As I always say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.